Welcome back to this very special episode of Across the Bifrost. I'm your host, Dr. Norbert, coming to you from the back of a game store. And with me tonight is my usual co-host,
Jamie. Hello. I'm coming from the AMG offices. I'm surprised you didn't get an invite from over here.
Oh, my Lord. This is how it goes. You know, I'm like a stepping stone to your greatness. That's all I can say. Well, Jamie, can you tell us a little bit why you might be at the out of the country?
So we are joined today by the wonderful Will Schick and Ross Thompson.
Hello.
Hey. Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Do you want to introduce yourself? Will, do you want to go first?
Yeah, so I'm Will. Most people call me Schick in the office because we have like 5 different Wills. I am the VP of Creative Development and Strategy for Atomic Mass Games.
Yes, and we were very pleased to have you on the show. If anybody is listening, we had Atomic Mass Games on about a month ago now at this point, talking about all the rules changes that were coming up. And we heard a lot from you then, and from Ben Ransom, the other developer.
Ben is our fabulous lead developer.
So welcome back, Will, and thanks again for joining us.
Thank you.
Ross.
Yes. Hey, I am the director of marketing here at Atomic Mass Games, and I'm happy to be on the show.
Well, okay, but Ross, there's so much more to that. There's so much more. So Ross Thompson and I, Jamie doesn't know this, Ross Thompson and I go way back to War Machine days, which is easily over 22 years now, Ross, would you say?
It's been a hot minute. You ran the War Machine at my convention, Kingdom Con.
Yes.
The second year of the show.
Yeah. Was that second already? Okay.
Yeah, because we had the first year at the Town and Country, and then we were asked not to come back to that hotel. And so we went over to the Crown Plaza and then did that. And because I was a press ganger at the time and I couldn't run the convention and run War Machine stuff, we had talked at some show, and you wanted to come out to San Diego.
Probably TempleCon. We were probably talking at TempleCon.
Yeah. So then you came out and did that. And then after you did it, that was when Gail and then Tyson, all those folk picked it up doing it. So, yeah.
It was a very unique time, Ross. I am incredibly grateful to you and Kevin, actually, who invited me there to help run it. And because Ross, it was not only it was helping you do the convention, and you're doing a grassroots convention, which I thought was epic for somebody just on their own to do. Secondly, it was like to help train up a lot of the folks in the SoCal area so they could do this sort of thing on their own. And we had a great time chatting after hours about how to do that sort of stuff, on top of helping everybody have fun playing games. And thirdly, it was at a tiki bar themed hotel, which was wild, and it was so much fun being there. I drank so many rum and cokes there. Spiced rum and cokes became like the theme of the weekend.
Yeah, Kingdom Con was definitely a different time, right? So we really enjoyed that hotel. It's funny because that hotel hosted for a long time like a 3,000 person tiki festival. So that hotel definitely knew what they were doing.
That's cool.
Yeah. Have you done tiki bars, Jamie?
A tiki bar? I thought a tiki bar was like a sucky little bar on the side of like a pool.
Oh, you are missing out. So in Southern California, tiki culture is a really big thing. So it's just a fun celebration. You wear cool shirts, cool stuff like that. But go look up Tiki Oasis. That's like the big event thing. If you go see that, that's the inspiration for it. So.
All right, Tiki Oasis. Cool.
Yeah.
I think you would really dig it. I mean, the sheer Americana of it is not to be missed.
I will say, like, even someone being now 5 years sober, their event is still super cool. So
yes. Great. I'm in America in 2 days, so I'm actually just going to immediately Google tiki bars after this.
There you go.
You should.
Yeah, nice.
Well, guys, so thank you, Ross, for helping people understand just how long we go back. And I mentioned that because it's such a thrill having you here at a really important company to me these days, and also being such a good friend. And we wanted you both on here today because things are changing in a good way at Atomic Mass Games, at least for Marvel Crisis Protocol, when it comes to organized play. And we thought this was so substantially different and needed some clarification, and also generating some of the anticipation of what's to come. We wanted to get you both on here to talk a little bit about that. So maybe we could start with Will, a little bit about, you people in case you hadn't tuned into the previous episode, Will's been in the business for a long time. Before this, he was with Privateer Press for a long time. So he knows a thing or two about, and you were actually a community tournament organizer before you became an employee of a game company, right?
I was.
Yeah. So the point of all that is to say that you understand the trenches. And so we're curious about what is the general philosophy at AMG now when it comes to organized play?
Yeah, so our general philosophy has always been the same, right? Which is that the goal of organized play has always and will always be to get communities together to play games. And that is the lifeblood of lifestyle games in general, right? If you don't have a community that wants to get together and play, you can play the games at home or with like your close group of friends. But usually, in fact, I would say all the time, really, when it comes to games like Marvel Crisis Protocol, games like, War Machine and Hordes, all of those classic ones, right? The time where you see the biggest growth and where you see those games really be successful is when people from all around the area or even the region have these opportunities to come together and play games against each other. And I think that's one of the really exciting and different things about games like miniatures games or TCGs, as opposed to a board game, right? Or a card game that doesn't necessarily have a lifestyle component where you're really just content. You get a board game and you say, okay, I'm going to play this with my close friends or family, or if people come over, we'll just pull the box out and we'll play with it and we'll be done with it. But hobby games are so, they're so personally investment. There's a lot of you in those games. You're taking time to hobby, you're taking time to paint. There's tons of strategies and tactical opportunities to explore, and playing a diverse set of people is really how, you see the full value of those kinds of things come out. And what we have seen throughout time in memoriam, right? Even when I started playing 40K second edition back in the early 90s, is that if you want to see these games succeed...
that's a little bit of a humble brag, but okay, we'll carry on.
It just means that I'm super old, all right? It just means that I'm crazy old. That's all that means. So when you've played those games, it's always about these organized play events. The stores putting on tournaments, the stores bringing communities together, bigger regional events bringing larger groups of people together, and that allows players to really expand and flex and find new friends and all of this good stuff. So our core at Privateer before was like organized play was really important. We brought a lot of that with us into everything because as lifelong gamers, that was a thing that we really valued on. And so at Atomic Mass, we kind of set up a thing where we were saying, okay, we believe in organized play, but the twist we wanted to put on it, the difference maker, I guess, in terms of how we were going to approach it to everyone else was that if organized play is meant to bring people together and give them a reason to want to play games together, then let's make sure that organized play rewards everybody in a somewhat equal measure, right? Because what we had seen a lot, and I think what you still see in most systems, is that the prize weighting goes to the people who do the best, right? Your first place, your second place, maybe your third place. And I think, the goal is always to reward skill, right? Getting to the top of the pile or winning a tournament, that's a big deal. And it does deserve to have some celebration behind it. But at the end of the day, if you're always rewarding those top tier players, the people who always get to the top, what does that mean for the person who just engages on the weekends or just wants to come in and have a good time? They're kind of always left looking from the outside in saying, oh, I really wish that I could get my favorite character card in this fancy, variant style, but I just don't play enough. And the honest truth is that in order to be really great at these games, to be able to win, a store level championship or a regional championship or a world championship, is that you have to have the time and the ability, you have to have that ability to be able to put in the time, to put in all of the reps, right? These players don't get there because they just woke up one morning and were like, this is what I'm going to play today. And blind luck, ran them to the top. It's concentrated effort. It's almost like it's a hobby within a hobby to be that good. And so our kind of vantage point was, well, we know that certain players, and I was one of them, right? I never was at the top of the boards because that just wasn't who I was, right? But I loved playing, and I always wanted the chance to be able to get some cool stuff in addition to just having the opportunity to play. And I think a lot of folks, when we started the studio, were that way. We had our Will Pagani's of the world who were like professional gamers who did who grinded the reps, won the world championships. They were that way. But even talking with Pagani and stuff about that, it was like, yeah, we really want to see players walk away feeling fulfilled and rewarded. And so we kind of turned our focus into, all right, let's see how organized play looks when it's about rewarding play first and then rewarding skill second. And so that was the big change that we did. And then obviously we had the COVID times, which really turned things into a different way. And you weren't really going to see a tournament being run at any point in a gaming store. So we pivoted to provide new game mode opportunities, which players could do, within the safety of their social quarantining or whatever they were doing at the time. So we had a lot of the event kits like Vibranium Heist and, Mutant Masterworks and things like that, which were also really unique and within that same vein of the idea of being like, hey, if you show up to this organized play event, you're going to get a brand new, effectively a game mode, right? You're going to get an expansion content for the gameplay that totally changes some of how the game itself is approached. The strength of that during COVID, obviously, was that you could go to the game store or work with the game store or whatever to get those contents and then bring them into an environment that you felt safe and secure playing in, whether that was your house, whether that was, outside, outdoors with friends or whatever, like your situation kind of dictated. And so that was really nice. But since the pandemic ended and we've kind of been moving back towards more in-person play, more standardized like tournaments and those kinds of things, we've really started to refocus now back on that. And so again, with the guiding light of let's create a normal tournament, system or kind of more classic organized play offerings with the idea that they will always be rewarding to all players regardless of skill. And then we'll add that little cherry on top for the folks who get to first, second, third, right? Who can climb the top of the bracket and come out on top as the win. So I think that's kind of the long-winded answer to that question.
No, very illuminating. And I think that does come through with the way that you designed some things at conventions and some of the store stuff that we're going to be talking about in a minute. But I want to just quickly jump over to Jamie, this is his first game in the genre whatsoever. He's never played anything like this. And so
Is
I'm
it
curious,
really?
Yeah,
he's the first game, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I'm curious what Will said to you. How does that resonate from you being completely, eye-opened to this hobby?
Yeah, well, it was super interesting because I obviously just discovered the game and went, London, Marvel Crisis Protocol, and then the store that you were playing out of, Norbert, popped up. And I kind of fell into it and was like, who's this weird guy who's really encouraging me to try and play this game with him? And then went along and you'd spent years before I'd showed up, building a community of people. So I was like there on play nights where there was like 12, 14 people. And was like, oh, this game's kind of cool. And then you started inviting me to tournaments outside of London. I was like, oh, this guy's real keen.
That's so you, Norbert. Sorry, I'm just like, that's so you.
Yeah,
that's
and
cool.
we just got back from Paris together. We've gone to Copenhagen 2 years in a row. Like, I'm constantly traveling everywhere with Norbert now to play this game of little plastic superheroes. So yeah, I think and also, by the way, on the Organised play kits, let this be known, anyone that bumps into me at an event, I always carry a copy of Separation Anxiety with me at every MCP event because it's the best Organised play thing. It's great for if you want a few beers and just play a silly game mode. So I've always got it on me. So I think it's brilliant. So yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense kind of I kind of see now why the kind of the alternate game modes were a thing at the start, to kind of get people in and, different ways to play. I've played all of them, Vibranium Heist is pretty great as well.
But would you say playing the game is fun, but this social element of the organized play aspect of it was something that you hadn't anticipated, but how does it make you feel now?
Yeah,
part
big time. Because Will, you made a good point about board games, right? I play a lot of board games, and yeah, you get your gang together that's going to play Gloomhaven, right? And you play that for a year, and that's kind of it. That's great and fun. But like, yeah, a game like MCP, I always liked the idea of kind of just rocking up to a shop, like I can now, just take my models to a shop and play some random people. And now, like, basically all of my friendship circle are MCP players. So it's a big part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Ross, let's hop over to you. Maybe you can dig a little bit into what Will is saying. And I'm curious because you've been in charge of retail stores, or not in managing them, but rather being the liaison for the company to retail stores and Organized Play now. How do you feel? If you do feel there's a difference between what you do to support, what a company could do to support store events versus conventions, or here in Europe, let's say bigger 2-day type of events,
right? Because all your clubs and things, right? So yeah, there definitely is, right? And I think at the end goal, it's getting people together to play games and do things. And I love that, Jamie, I had no idea this was your first game. Like, that's always kind of a fascinating thing.
Yeah.
I just to kind of do I started playing Warhammer 3rd Edition when I was like a ninth grade high school band kid, right? So we're doing all these things there. So like, or Warhammer, whatever.
Yeah, Warhammer.
Warhammer. Yeah.
Or was it 40K? It's either that or 40K.
It was 40K, whatever. Right.
Okay.
But like having worked at game stores, stuff like that and everything there. And like now here we are where it's like, now we're in 2025, right? And it's like, hey, how do you go meet somebody? How do you go play these things and do all this stuff? And while conventions are great, right? Like I'm at a con once a month, right? And we've got things like Adepticon, we've got things like Comic-Con San Diego, we've got PAX Unplugged. All these shows have like a main focus they're going to be doing, right? Because like Adepticon, it's the hardcore people that know about miniatures gaming. Gen Con, it's everybody has their thing. They're going to go play Gloomhaven. They're going to go and do these things. PAX Unplugged is kind of like a general vibe, but that's only like that one thing you look forward to throughout the year. But like yesterday, I got in the car and then wound up at the game store, right? Like, and I was like, oh, I guess I just needed to drive somewhere, and then I found myself at the game store, and it was funny because like I used to play games every Monday night, and we'd hang out, we'd do our league, we'd do our campaign, and then we'd have our tournament like once a quarter or once a month and everything there. And so having that place where you can go and immediately it feels like home. Right, because you're going to hang out on Monday nights and you're going to play from 5 to 10 p.m. You're going to go and get dinner afterwards. And those are guys now that you're going to plan going to your next convention. Or, hey, we're going to go up to LA and we're going to go and do this thing. And like I've got lifelong friends that, that I still talk with every day that we met because they showed up randomly and wanted to play a game at the game store. Right. And now we're on a Discord chat, 20 years later. Yeah. So keeping that in mind is what you kind of want to think about when putting together your kits for these things, right? Because for conventions, we can do the prize wall, we can do the grand tournament kits, we can do cool promo cards and things, we can have big banners and posters and takeovers and all this stuff. But mom and pop shop in Bakersfield, California, what are they going to have, right? So, but they've got a cool community that's playing games and doing things. We want to be able to provide a kit where they can just pick it up from the Asmodee rep without having to know somebody at Atomic Mass Games or have networked at some show and done something and get that all lined up. So we've got, like, doing that, you can create kits that have posters, they've got window clings, they've got cool little promo cards, and those promo cards they can use for whatever they want. They want to use them for the league, they want to use them for a tournament, they want to have them behind the desk, so if somebody buys the starter box, oh my gosh, you'd love a cool foil Captain America, let's get that for you, right? So you want to create things that a rep, like just a guy working behind the counter at a random game store can be able to just tell any person that walks up and goes, hey, by the way, we're playing that game on Tuesday, so you should come by and check it out. And if we don't have stuff that they can help out with that, then we're missing out on a community building thing, which is really neat. So
it sounds like those are two different venues, but both are very important and also have to be handled differently.
Oh, completely, right? Because for conventions, there is so much around the spectacle. Right, we know that we are showing up, and on Saturday it's going to be at 9 a.m. Everyone has brought their lists; they have done their thing. They're going to be playing, so they can get their tokens, which then they can turn in for promo cards, or for a cool poster, or for a cool exclusive acrylic token set. Like, some of those things are all neat, but that's not the same as, hey, I'm playing my new roster that I showed up to on Tuesdays at the club. We're going to do this stuff. By the way, we have these cool promo cards we can pick up. Our store order from Asmodee. Let's make sure we can get those and going, right? So they are different vibes because they are just different. But at the end of the day, it's all about getting people together to play a game.
So Will and Ross, one of the things that I work as a community organizer, and Jamie does now too, he's gotten very involved with the London scene now, is trying to convince more casual players to come to tournaments. And I feel like the word tournament is probably a problem. Sometimes I use the word games day instead now, even though it's organized as a tournament, to try to help. What would you say to those folks who are trepidatious about tournaments, and in particular the notion that tournaments are inherently overly competitive, and if they're not hyper competitive, they're not going to have a good time at the tournament?
Well, I think that kind of goes to the core of what we were trying to address initially when we started the studio and started talking about our organized play and how, traditionally most organized play stuff was centered around the winners, right? Tournaments are about winning. They're about getting to the top. They're about expressing your skill and defeating the competition, those kinds of things. And that was, in the overall like scheme of things, our idea was, okay, well, we want the guy who comes with his awesome, painted roster of super characters that they love, right? They've picked their favorites and they may not work the best together, but they just have a blast playing them. We want that person to have the exact same or close to same experience. We want to reward them in terms of the rewards they walk away with, as the person who comes with their hyper efficient tournament list that they've grinded out games on and they know exactly how it works with their eyes closed, and and they're going to sweep the competition because that's the goal. The goal for them is to get to the top. And I think that, at the end of the day, right, there's that fear of being like, oh, well, if I don't win, did I really win? And there's a couple ways to combat that. The first is to say, hey, if you come to this event, if you come to this tournament, you're going to walk away. If you play all 4 rounds, win or lose, you're going to walk away with the exact same 4 cards that the person who won did, right? Mm-hmm. More or less. Because we do some special treatments for the top 4. Sure. Players that just kind of mark them out, but it's the same card. It just happens to say that you made top 4 in this event. Ooh. And then, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's the gamer bling that you want, right? Recognize the skill, but at the same time, give everybody the same rewards for playing. So there's that part, right? If you want to show up and get some cool stuff just for playing games, win or lose, who cares? Just have a good time. And then, of course, the other side to it, I think, is that once you remove that pressure or that stress of being like, if I don't win, I don't get stuff. And we kind of saw this in our Adepticon experience and other experiences, right? Where it's like where you had events that had cuts, and each day you made a cut, you got cooler and cooler things. There was a lot of pressure that players had on themselves to be like, well, I really want to get X, Y, or Z reward. So if I don't win, right? If I don't win the first match, I might as well just drop because I'm getting nothing. That's pretty bad for like it. I mean, talk about a convention that you've traveled to and you've paid all this expense to come to, and the very first game you get unlucky in a dice roll. Now it's like, well, you might as well quit, kid, because you're not getting anything. What an awful way, what a kind of an awful feeling to be like, this is a celebration of playing the game and coming together and meeting new people and creating, friendships and bonds between players who never see each other from a geographic idea. So on the one hand, we wanted to combat that. But then even from the store level, right? If who's in your community, who's probably going to win. It's the same as if you have a painting competition that's local, you're like, well, it's one of like these 3 or 4 people.
Oh yeah, you're preaching to the choir. Pat Dunford's from London. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just kind of always in the mix, right? And the idea that you're going to come in and dark horse them out of it at any point without some significant effort, which is a choice that a player should make. And there are people who join communities and they're like, I want to beat that guy. I want to be in that mix, right? There are a lot of other people who are just like, I just want to play some fun games. Yeah. So I think removing that knowledge of like that defeatist mentality of, well, I'll go 1 in 3 and then I won't get anything. So is it really worth it? Right? Is important. And ideally just being like, hey, if you play 4 games, you get 4 cool things, right? If you play 4 rounds, you get 4 awesome promo cards that everyone else got. Removes that stress, right? It removes the thing where now you can just go in and you can say, okay, let's play. The second part to it that I would say, right, is that I've met so many people who play these games over the last 15-ish years, like longer if you count the time that I haven't really been working directly for companies. And I've played thousands and thousands of games, as I assume like Ross has and you have, Norbert. Maybe Jamie's a little bit behind, but he'll get there.
He's catching up.
He'll catch up fast. With different people. And I can count pretty much in my hand the number of bad experiences that I've had.
Yeah.
And so I think there's this like mentality of the win at all costs, like toxic kind of gamer who's going to come in and they're just looking to like curb stomp baby seals so that they can make some new boots and show them off at the next like convention of toxic douchebags, right? Let's just be real.
I feel the same, by the way, quickly. So I was really scared of my first tournament, and everyone, in MCP in particular, and everyone shares this mentality. It's an especially friendly and fun game. I think the theme helps. I tiptoed into a different game system, which I will not name, went to one tournament and had 2 bad games and 2 fun games. I was like, wow, that was one day compared to the 1,000 MCP games I played. So it's definitely, it's very friendly.
And so it can depend on your community, but I think overall, right, especially with Crisis Protocol and what we've tried to really pass on to the community through our vision at AMG and the way in which we talk about this stuff, is that everyone's there primarily to have fun, right? They're there to play a game with somebody else and tell this immersive, like, storytelling kind of battle game experience. That the goal is to win, but the point is always to have fun. And so, overall, that has been consistently my experience throughout a lot of different game systems, and you do have to try. But at the end of the day, right, even a bad experience once as like a test, which I don't think that you'll experience, is worth it for what you unlock in terms of just being able to expand your base of like players you play against, to open up new opportunities, to like learn the game, to see what other people are doing, to be inspired by them through the hobby, through the gameplay, all of that stuff. And so that's kind of like my thing, is like, it's worth the try. And I understand a lot of the trepidation. And I think especially if you're somebody who doesn't like social situations, which I, shockingly enough, am one of them. Like, I'm not a huge fan of just walking cold into a group of people and being the life of the party, or having to have weird small talk with people.
I have no idea what that's like. What are you talking about?
I relate to you. Don't worry. I'm terrified of people.
and so when you really get down to it, right, it's like walking up to a game table cold and dealing with a stranger that you've never met before. That can be like, it honestly can sometimes feel like the worst of your fears realized. And now you're putting yourself into the situation. But I think when you try it, right, the magic of games, when you have a common language, is like, you don't have to make small talk. The game is the social lubricant for you, because you walk up, you've never met this person before, and instantly you're like, all right, let's roll for priority. I'm going to pick secures. I'm going to flip these cards out. What threat value were we playing? Like, let's go next. Like, here's my squad. All right, deployment. I go, you go, and you start doing these things. And then all of a sudden, like, because you have that start to the conversation and that shared language, you don't have to be like, it's weird weather we're having out there, right? It's just, instead it becomes like, oh, you brought Malekith. I really struggle. Like, of course you did, but it's okay because I brought this piece. Or you start talking about larger game strategies. Start talking about, I love the paint job that you did on this character. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, through the mechanics of the game, that shared language of the game, you suddenly like, you get to actually interact with the person as a person, rather than in this weird social niceties situation where you have to make up things to talk about. And I think that's really magical, but it's something that you kind of have to take the leap sort of to experience. Because in my career, like I tell this story a lot to people who don't understand what miniatures gaming is, or don't really get like the magic of it. I have played games with people that did not speak English, and I did not speak Italian or Spanish, and like, we were able to play an entire game together, and have a connection non-verbally, because we had the game to walk us through those interactions. And I remember those to this day, right? I remember laughing about things, or like, doing the like when the dice came up, things like that. And if it can do that when you don't even speak the language, like, imagine when you do speak the language, how you can make those really deep connections, and how you can suddenly find friendships in people that you would have never been able to approach initially without the game. And that's really what drives, like, I think, why Ross wants to make conventions all the time, and why we want to do these things, is because it's a huge component. It's not just a cool game to play. It's the fact that we make, bonds and friendships, and we become more human every time we play.
Real quick. Jamie actually was learning French when we were in Abbeville, France. He was actually trying to help them, be more comfortable with him playing against them.
Yeah, it didn't go too well. I was playing against a 12-year-old French kid who couldn't speak a word of English, and we were on a pay-to-flips, and he activated the model, put him on a pay-to-flip, and then just was like, your turn. And I had to get someone over to be like, can you translate? I was like, can you tell him that's a pay-to-flip? Just remind him he has to pay to interact. They had a little like French chat back and forth. He looked at me and goes, he says he knows and he doesn't care. For the rest of the game, he just launched dice at me for the entire game, and he had a great time. We didn't speak a word to each other. It was brilliant.
Incredible.
Now, Ross, I want to set you up to answer this question as well. I had the privilege of working with you at a War Machine booth. I think it was Gen Con, actually. And you gave a demo to a kid and his dad. And it wasn't just a demo of War Machine. It was you created a fictional story that these guys were then walking through. And I was like, this is a demo machine, this guy. I have to learn from the master. So what would you say, knowing that about you now, what would you say to the guy who's trepidatious about coming to his first tournament because he plays in his basement with his friends and
oh man, that's a great question. And on the demo thing, by the way, thank you for that. And it's funny because literally yesterday at the game store, I was hanging out with two guys that used to be part of the league that I ran back in the day for games, and I didn't recognize one of the guys because it had been, I hadn't seen him for like 10 years, and he was like, "Oh, you actually gave me my first demo of War Machine back in the day, and I went to your convention all these times. That's why I'm playing games now with my brother. Thanks for that."
Oh,
and I'm just
that's
like,
so cool.
Oh, I was just like, oh man, like your beard has gotten so much bigger. And he's like, yeah, well, I was like 12 when you gave me the demo.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, you got me into games. That's now I'm a big beardy guy. That's what happens.
Right. So, right, totally, right. So, so it's like, but with tournaments and with events, right? Like, I think everything Chick touched on, I think is spot on, right? Like, gaming brings us together, right? And there's so many things out there that we can do. We can do video games. We can do whatever else. We can do all these things. But miniature wargaming has a much different appeal to it, right? Card games, we're buying our stuff, we're getting our deck together, we're going to do all that. There's an instant buy, we can play out the box, right? Board gaming, same kind of thing. We can buy it, we'll put it together, we're all going to do the experience. But with miniature wargaming, you have to buy the model miniature kit. You have to then put it together and paint it. You then have to be coordinated enough to have your list together. You've got to bring it. You've got to have everything else. So you've already done all this prep where there's so much for it. And then once you're there, oh my gosh, you're going to notice that somebody's painted miniatures look super cool. They're going to do these things. You're going to have all this stuff. And even for like a full day for an event, whether you're in a store or at a convention, like you're going to remember that day. You know, and it's a big thing. And so I wasn't the most competitive player. I had a list, you know, when I was doing different games back in the day that I'd like bring in. But for me, it's more about hanging out and doing these things. And so I think if you've got like you want to go play an MCP tournament, you want to go play in one of these things, I think just go do it because you've got to start somewhere. Right. Yeah. Like and that's especially like, if you're just getting into it now, like gaming is a thing. I know we've got three of us here who've been playing since forever, right? And all of that, but that's good though. It means that you know there's people that I went to a wargaming convention for historicals about a month ago, and there's guys that are hanging out playing, you know, Saga or Napoleonics or whatever, and they're having a great time doing this all the same. Oh no, the dice and this thing there and all of that. And I'm like, how great is that? That like, you know, I know in like 20 years I can still be playing some game, doing some thing, and so every little bit adds to that, right? So your first tournament, that's going to be a story, right? Your first narrative campaign, that's going to be a thing. I still remember our first Ultimate Encounter we played with Hulk at my old house during quarantine, doing all of that there and realizing we could do all this stuff, and then, you know, Hulk was just being a dick, and it was great. So, you know, it was good.
What I do is I also tell the person, just tell your opponent that you're new at the game. And that's all you have to say. And they still play a competitive game with you, but it'll be much more relaxed. They'll help you when you don't understand things and everything like that. And never, ever once has that ever been wrong advice because of the community that we generate. You know, people don't know, they're going to go full ham. But if they know that you're brand new and you say so, they're going to be more conscientious about the game because rather than a lot of assumptions that we make when you're playing another veteran, they're going to not make those assumptions and then make sure everybody's having a good time.
Also on that too, always feel free to ask a judge, you know,
yes,
like, and I think, a judge, when I bring over the judge creates conflict. It's like, hey, just ask the judge, right? Because if you're concerned about a thing or that there, it never hurts. That's what they're there for, right? And so just because you brought a judge over does not mean instant conflict. We can't communicate. It's okay. That's their job.
Yep. More than not, they just help you talk through the situation and come to the right conclusion anyway. So
yeah, and they find that neat anyway. Oh, what a cool little interaction! How are we going to get through this? Right?
Yeah.
So,
all right, Ross, then let us get into it. Now that we have an understanding of what your personal and AMG's approach to organized play. What is types of formats are you going to be doing in 2025? Let's get into the meat of it.
So I think I'll talk more about the kits that we're going to have, if that's cool, right? So we've got the different kind of things going on. So we've got a few different kits. I'm sure people have tracked some of the trade conversations we've had with like Gamma and some retail things there and all of that. So first off, people have seen a lot of the retail support kits we've been doing. We do about 2 of those a year per game brand, and those have promo cards and posters and window clings that will go to stores. Your stores can get those from your Asmodee reps, and those will have unique art promo cards. They've got cool posters that are double-sided and things like that. We know people saw a lot of those, like the Monsters Unleashed ones that had the cool spooky monster things and stuff like that. So you've got to get those through your store, or you have your club rep can reach out to the Asmodee rep and they have some extras. Who knows, right? So that's a.
So let me understand this. So this is a kit. It sounds like they're not specific to anything. Like you could decide how you want to give out the stuff, whether it's a league or a tournament or just like a hobby company. You could do whatever you like to try to get them. Okay. And you have to get them through either a store or being a club kind of rep. And is it for a pay? Like, do you have to pay for this, or is this part of
These are a promotion that Atomic Mass Games provides to the Asmodee to give to retailers.
Gotcha. Okay,
and
cool.
Then, and then stores can get those through their Asmodee rep.
And you said they're twice a year? Like 2 different types a year?
We've got 2 different ones we do per game brand. So we do 6 a year, right? For Legion, Shatterpoint, and MCP.
Is there a timing attached to that? Or how would people know to poke their store owners to go for this?
They're themed around different stuff. So we've based them around, so like right now there's the Phoenix retail support kit, which is out there. So you may see stores have a cool Phoenix poster, and it has a nice lava foil Phoenix card that's out there.
What? I didn't know that existed. Right, be right back. Gonna email some people.
So that's a fun one that's out there. So your stores will start having that pretty soon. Last year for MCP, we did the Monsters Unleashed one, and then we did the Apocalypse one too. Right? I always have the Apocalypse card right here.
Yes, very cool.
Little,
that is a sexy card.
Yeah. So that's part of that retail support stuff there, right? So, and it's kind of a way stores can get it. They can use it for what they want to do with it and everything there. So which is kind of fun.
Would you say they're about evenly spaced in the year, like every 6 months or so is when they come out, or is
they're spaced throughout the year. So
okay. So the key thing is to make sure you poke your store owner to keep in touch with the Asmodee rep to get make sure those get a hold of. Okay, cool. That's really interesting and something that we didn't really appreciate, I don't think, as far as what was happening there. But I think you have more in store as well.
We do. So we've also got we're doing all these tournament kits that are coming out, and then we've got 3 per game brand. A year. And so what these are going to be is they're going to provide enough for a 16-player tournament that you can get. And these are going to be general tournament kits that'll have, full foil cards, and they'll have things for the winners and stuff like that. And they can get those for each game brand. And then that'll be a way that your store can just buy these kits and then have them for tournaments, and a fun way to promote. Obviously, they're made for tournaments, but if they were to use them for a league or a campaign or a thing too, that's up to them for what they want to do.
How many players does it help accommodate? It
accommodates for 16, and then it has 16. A top 4.
Wow. Okay, awesome. And so that's for purchase. So you could buy those at any time for as many times as you want, necessarily for as many events that you want.
Yeah, and we've done 3 throughout the year. That way that it's not the same. Like, once you've played in the tournament a couple times, everybody might already have the cards and stuff like that. So we know that the top 4 extra little bling is cool, but we want to make sure that we've kind of spruced that up in variety going on. So that'll be good.
And when would the first ones start being available? Sorry, Will.
Oh, no. Go ahead, answer that. And then I was going to just add a little more. I was going to add a little more context to how the kits break out in terms of pricing. So,
please.
But Will, Ross, when do you think the first ones would be available?
Oh, those are going to start arriving in Q2. So, which is like super soon. So
it's now. This is April. April's April Q2.
It is sort of now.
Okay, cool, exciting. All right, well, yes, tell us what's in them.
Yeah, so to kind of expand on what Ross was talking about, this is kind of the first level. So, and we talked a little bit about this when we were doing the roadmap presentations and stuff at AdeptCon. The overall goal is to, we started a little bit in reverse, right? We have the GT program, which launched last year. And so that is for your big regional events. The idea there is to bring multiple local communities together to give them a chance to experience a bigger event that draws from a larger pool of players. The store tournament kits that are going to be coming out 3 per year, like Ross talked about. One of the unique things we were able to do with that is that, like you talked about, Norbert, in your question, like not everybody wants to play in a tournament. Mm-hmm. So what we did is we created kits that allow stores or communities to do one of two things. You can do a single day event, like a games day, which is effectively just it's a 1-day tournament that can run up to 4 rounds with 16 players.
Yep.
Alternatively, you can use them as a multi-week league kit. And so instead of doing all your games in 1 week, you effectively get to come back to the store once per week, having your game night. And then at the end of those 4 weeks, you distribute the prizing based on the overall status of the league. So you can spread out the tournament as well. This is great for communities that maybe don't want to invest, 8 hours of an entire day, or they want to have something that's a little more flexible for players. So you can come in anytime during the week to the store and play your games, that kind of stuff. It also let us build in slow grow leagues as well for stores that want to start new communities. Leagues can often be better for that. So you can use the kits in a couple of different ways in the organized fashion that they're designed. And then, as Ross said, you can use them however you want. Yeah. There's effectively, each kit has 4 unique promo cards in it. For example, the first kit is all X-Men themed. So it has
Jamie, look at
it has an alternate art version of Magnetic Crush. It has a foil version, a holographic foil version, so the shiny, magic card style, for Xavier's Dream. It has an alternate art card, To Me, My X-Men.
Great.
It has...
I hear that card's popular.
I hear, yeah. And then it has a foil, so a holographic foil version of the Cerebro card. And that card, there's 12 just normal holographic foils. And then there's 4 foil versions of that have a gold stamp that say top 4.
Gotcha.
So that's what your first, second, third, and fourth players get. And then for the champion of the event, there's an acrylic Cyclops stat card in it.
Oh, exciting.
So similar to the kind of the acrylic or plastic cards. They're really plastic. They're not exactly acrylic. It's similar material, but different, that we were doing at Adepticon. So if you win the event, you're going to be able to walk away with that premium format stat card that maybe you can use if you play Cyclops. If not, it's just a cool thing to have the collection.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how those kits break out. And then, like Ross said, they rotate out consistently 3 times a year, which lets us avoid putting out kits during times when people don't really play. For the US, it's the November, December, January, because we got Thanksgiving, Christmas, all the other different holidays that happen in the winter. And then January, everyone's trying to recover from all those holidays. So what we made the decision based on kind of our experience in the past of whenever you did 4 kits a year, 1 per quarter, that 4th quarter kit never got utilized very much. And so a lot of players missed out on getting those rewards or getting those cool items because their stores just didn't host. And then of course you as the game studio or company wound up with a bunch of extra kits from this fourth quarter thing that you're well, what do we do with all these now? So we did 3, which avoids those bigger holiday months.
Sounds great.
Yeah. So that's kind of how it all breaks down that way, in terms of what to expect out of them, those kinds of things. The goal is moving forward to build off that foundation, and then we can offer more premium add-on kits and things like that for stores that really want to have a big celebration, or they want to have some kind of special single event. Maybe they do a number of these, events, and they seed based on the event, on the results, and then everybody gets to come back and play for dice or whatever we can manage to fit into that kit that makes sense. Those will likely be in the next, year or 2 where you'll start to see that stuff come out. So we have exciting. A multi-tiered plan to kind of continue to build out local programs and then roll into, the GTs and stuff.
So Ross, you said for the store promo kits, those will include character cards or tactics cards, or it could be anything.
Check.
For the
promo kits.
So, for the retail support ones that are free, is that the one you're talking about?
So
those can kind of be anything that marketing deems is within their budget. So we did like the gold Apocalypse one. We did the special foil treatment, holographic foil for Phoenix. We did the monsters ones, which were they weren't really foil; they were just like different art treatments. We have done some that have unique rules in them as well. So I don't know that any of those have come out for Marvel, but there's like the Phoenix one comes with a new one-shot card, which basically is her setting the world on fire. So whenever you throw terrain, it explodes because it's all burning.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
And for a couple of the other game lines, we have worked on unique scenario rules and stuff. So similar to like Vibranium Heist and things like that.
Yeah.
Instead of doing those as a pay-for kit that runs like organized play, if we're able to do it in a way that makes sense from the budget standpoint, right? We can put those into the retailer kits as well. So the sky's kind of the limit on whatever we feel is going to be best to support the products in the store, support the stores and our retailers, and build strong communities on that. By and large, cost effectiveness, it's usually promo cards and things like that, but it could be anything.
Okay.
And we're open to explore all that.
Does that mean the alternate game modes, like Jamie, what was the one, the symbiote? What's it officially called? Separation anxiety. So those won't be made separately any longer, but they may be part of a store promo thing. Is that right?
So both. Like when it comes to an idea like separation anxiety, we obviously really love being able to add more value to players' collections through organized play. I think, again, talking about, well, how do you just get people to come together and play the game and have fun with it? To me, it's, I always loved, as a player, I always loved seeing different ways to use my miniatures, right? To use my collection, to add a little bit of like change and opportunity to the normal, like standard game modes. So I think, just based on how the contents for those things work, you're talking about an ultimate encounter, you're talking about separation anxiety, which uses a unique card deck, right? Those things can't really be offered through the retail support program because it's free. And we obviously have to maintain Ross's marketing budget, which he uses for a lot of stuff. So well as I, as part of the product development and game team, would do anything. He's the one who has to write the check, and he has a balance to maintain.
Unfortunately, right?
With those kinds of things, right? Yeah. So with those kinds of things, it would probably be what we call I think they're called game night kits, which just means that it's not a tournament, it's not a league, it's kind of a weird way to play the game that offers like new game modes or things like that. So there will be those as well going forward as well. They'll be probably less frequent than they were in the past, especially during the pandemic times when like that was really the best way forward with organized play. But we still plan on doing them. We still have a lot of cool ideas to add new game modes or ultimate encounters that we didn't quite get to maybe for a character that needs one, things like that.
Cool. That's exciting. Okay, we've talked a bit now on the store level. Let's move it up a notch to the convention 2-day type level. I think the way AMG has angled their support of those kind of events is through the GT system. And if that's correct, maybe you could tell us a little bit about, what is the GT system and why you went with it.
Yeah, so these grand tournaments are a way for us to kind of like empower events and events that have multiple game brands and tournaments so that they can have a larger prize support thing, which kind of gives that extra desire to want to go to an event and do a whole thing. So like with these kits, it'll have extra dice, it'll have extra components, it'll have extra cards, all these things that because of the way that historically there had been the world's qualifiers and everything there, and the communities are kind of used to having a larger event that they can go to, right? Yep. And so because we like supporting our events and are still heavily involved with a lot of things that are going on, this system kind of allowed us to find out what's going on and everything there. So we're on our second season right now. Well, for the 24-25 season, it's about to finish up. I think our last event is actually this coming weekend on the schedule.
Okay.
And then from that, we'll be then launching into our 2025-2026 season. And with that, we're running about, I think it's roughly 30 to 35 or so grand tournaments for each game brand. And so that'll essentially be starting in May all the way up until April next year. And and then all those ones will have kits that are going to come out right from AMG. So we've got our whole team packing those up right now. Funny enough, right? And then they'll be sending those out to all the different events, and that'll either go to TOs that are running events at like across the world, or to stores that have like a really big setup or things like that.
And we should mention this is for the United States, Europe, Asia, and Australia, as far as I know, all the GTs.
Yeah, we open it up to pretty much all the regions that we can. We know that where it gets into the weeds is that I think everybody is like, oh my gosh, our event's awesome. We got to make sure that's going on. But I think, as Chick's brought up, my marketing budget only goes so far, right? So we kind of have to figure out like what's a reasonable number that we can do to support these. Obviously, organized play at a larger level is important, and it allows us to tell cool stories and have cool narrative with these extra cards and other components and dice and things. And so I think we're on season 2 of this kind of thing. So we changed this from last year. We kind of opened up the larger for applications. So like if you go on our website right now, you can see where the previous transmission kind of breaks out the schedule for it, where when the application goes up, people can submit. When they submit, they can kind of share about their event. They can share what's going on. Hey, I'm the TO. I'm running X number of tournaments. Or, hey, I'm the full organizer for the whole convention. We're running these 3 tournaments. Here's who my TOs are. Here's our previous numbers. Here's what we're looking at doing. We'd like to be considered, and then during that process, after everybody has done their submissions, then we'll review with our internal team. And from things there, then we'll go, hey, cool, we want to support these things and do all that. It's tough because we can't just give everyone a kit, mainly due to quantity size and stuff like that. But I mean, what's been neat is just learning how many events there are out there.
Yeah.
Right. And I think while we have like the Facebook group and we have the Discord and we have Reddit where everyone's sharing up their things, I am consistently surprised that there's, a 32-person tournament or a 50-person tournament doing these things.
Yeah.
And then also the TOs that will find me on like LinkedIn or whatever, and then being like, hey, I'd love to be considered for this thing next year. How do we get involved? Or even at Adepticon this year, I had some talks with a bunch of TOs that were like, hey, we didn't get picked this year, but here's what's going on with our event. We want to make sure that we're covered. And just getting to know more about that, because obviously only so much can be shown in a cover letter, right? Like in your application form, we can only do all these things. And we kind of we want to make sure that we're supporting as many as we can. But at the same time, we do, for the grand tournaments, tend to go to events that can hold more than one tournament for Game Brand during the course of it.
Yeah, okay. And then from a player perspective, then that kind of feels like that through that vetting process, while it might not be perfect, they can expect a quality event with a good number of people coming to it. Essentially, is kind of the almost not a guarantee, but an assurance that you can give based as much as you can on this process.
I mean, we aren't directly at every single one of those grand tournaments, right? So like we're not there making sure that, but we have a grand tournament kit that we like to enforce and go, hey, here's the rules for this. Like you and I have had the talks about our grand tournament kits, right? So like on those things there, and hey, these are rules we want to follow to create that AMG style. And then also like we include posters, we include other stuff too. So people want to have extra promotional stuff at the show. We know we can't be there, but I try to provide more assets so that if people want to print out some stuff and do some things, those are there too.
Is it correct to say that what we see at Adepticon when it comes to the prize wall will be the kind of things that the GTs will then see through the rest of that year?
That has been an interesting way for us to order a lot of prizes in bulk.
Yeah.
Right. And so being able to kind of order those prize wall stuff gives us that big thing to build on. So anybody that's done to a Adepticon now twice and then seen a GT, those are cool dice, those are cool components, those are cool cards, all those kind of things that you'll see in the GT kits.
Okay, awesome. That's great, because I think a lot of people would love to go to Adepticon, and I highly encourage you if you can, but it's not possible for everybody. But it's nice to be able to get a taste of that in your own backyard, so to speak, at one of your local GTs.
Yeah. All
right, cool. So speaking of Adepticon, maybe we should talk a little bit about how organized play evolved. I can tell you my story. Will maybe remembers this, but I was meant to go there for the first time ever on my 50th birthday. So it was March 2020. And guess what happened in March 2020? Everything got shut down and the con was canceled. And so Vibranian Heist was the big deal. This is why I mention it. That was going to be the thing that we play there. There was, and as far as I can remember, it was that and maybe some affiliation battles, but it was a pretty sparse, skeleton kind of a play. Maybe you could recount what your plans were for organized play there and how they've evolved over the 3 Adepticons, I guess, since the pandemic.
Yeah, I mean, I think, starting there, right? One of the big goals was to have some unique play experiences. We were going to obviously have several kind of standard tournaments, right, run through our partners at Adepticon. But obviously, as the launch of the game, it wasn't like we were going to hold a lofty worlds or some kind of significant event. It was, we were brand new to the scene. And so let's just do some fun stuff. I think they had a team battle that they had set up as well, because Adepticon loves their team tournaments, which are great. But pretty small to start. And then what we've done since, and kind of our ramp up plan in general, but especially since we've moved out of the pandemic, 2021, I think was the year we started going back and everything.
Yeah, that was yes, that was the one I was at. Yeah,
yeah, and but we didn't go there personally. I think AMG didn't start going back due to the Asmodee kind of corporate kind of guidance on when they wanted the staff to start going back into public spaces and stuff. That really didn't start kicking back in until 22 was the first Adepticon we went back to. Mm-hmm. And so our overall goal, right, was to kind of monitor the situation, see how people responded to the quarantine lifting and what new format these shows might take. Because no one knew, right? Coming out of that, everyone was just like, is Gen Con just over now? Are big shows dead? Are people going to be willing to take the risk to go back? How are they going to change their offerings or all these things in a post-pandemic world? And what we learned is that it snapped back very quickly. And effectively by 22, everyone was more than happy to be out of the house or back with all of the friends and people that they knew from travel and all of that stuff. And so from there, it was really a system of going to the initial plan, which was the goal was to have a variety of different event types that were supported. And one of the things that you'll see, I think if you look at the Adepticon schedule that we've largely hit at this point, is we have our Tip Top Worlds competition, which is an open worlds format, which we like because it allows players from anywhere to come in and shoot their shot, right? There's no geographical or kind of like qualification requirement. I do believe that Ross is going to be talking a little bit about how we're iterating on that situation from last year that will tie better into the GT kits to provide some stuff in there. I don't know if this is the podcast that we're going to talk about it, but there's more information on kind of connecting those different things together as we get into season 2. And season 3, going forward, like some of the future plans again as we build our tier system approach. And
we can definitely come back for another podcast and talk about that.
There you go.
That's very intriguing. So I like that little little tidbit.
And the other big thing that we do, in addition to so we have our worlds, we have timelines, which was a big one that we introduced last year at Adepticon, which was kind of what we considered a very unique format for people who love list construction, who love working within, predefined, like, you don't get everything. You get this set list and it's a limited format, and can you do it? And then on top of being a limited format, there's even more limitations because you have to play all your lists a certain number of times. And for us, that was like, if we were thinking like, what's the kind of format that motivates us competitively from the dev brain, I think, like, how do you do this, right? So it was a big puzzle box, and we thought it sounded really cool. We assumed that there was some contingent among the player base that would find it really cool. And I think that has really landed in a certain niche as well. It's not for everyone, right? It's for a specific type of player, but finding those opportunities like the team tournament. You see, the team tournament at Adepticon this year was huge. That's a very different type of player as well, right? Because it's not the normal game. And those kinds of things. And then on top of that, we're always trying to find something unique for players to do at a convention that they really can't do anywhere else. So that's where the leagues come in. So this year we had the Danger Room League, where a lot of crazy rules were introduced. There were new crises around the one-shot cards and all of that good stuff. So we try to do one of those every year as well, just to make sure that players don't have to only engage in organized play, they can also engage in casual organized play that lets them just have fun and run around and earn tickets for the prize wall in different ways as well.
Mm. I think the interesting thing about America is, of course, they have all these different conventions that you go to. I think the only one that you officially support in terms of your presence is Adepticon. Is that correct?
So for the US?
For the US, just stick to the US now. Yeah.
So we go to events with Asmodee, right? So for Atomic Mass Games, for our full coverage of like what we do, full fanfare is definitely Adepticon, right? And that's the main show that we go to. But if you want to meet us, we're also at Gen Con. And at Gen Con we'll have grand tournaments that are going on too.
Yep.
And we have our prize wall, which is also brought to Gen Con. And we do all that. Of course, Gen Con is the biggest show of all.
It's the Mecca.
Next to Spiel, but Gen Con for the US is massive, right? So, and then also we go to PAX Unplugged. So,
which one?
PAX Unplugged, which is the one in Philadelphia.
Okay. Yep.
So that one, there are grand tournaments that are being held there, but those are run by PAX as if they are run by any other event. So we're not there running them with our TOs and doing our whole thing. The group that's been running that has been running them for a while, and once that system got set up, we were happy to go support them. I usually go to that show, and then the occasional other AMG staffers will be there depending on what our promotions are. Last year we did a big thing at PAX West, which was up in Seattle. So that was fun. They had a new convention center too, so that was kind of cool to go check all that out.
Yeah.
And then you'll see a couple of us around. Like I go to LVO, so I'll be there just as me. So
but like in terms of a booth, it's Gen Con and Adepticon.
For a booth, it's mainly just Adepticon.
Just Adepticon,
right? Because like we will have stuff at Gen Con to buy, but we're not bringing the full selection.
Okay. Yeah, so there's a difference between everything. Every appearance that we do is obviously overseen by Asmodee's central events team, right?
Okay.
Because we as the studios, like any Asmodee studio, think of it kind of like either a record company or a video game studio, right? So like an EA or something. The studios are directly part of the larger company. So with Asmodee as our publisher, right, they have a lot of shared services that go throughout all of the different studios. Just like the record company has a lot of different bands, but at the end of the day, they're the ones that they press the records, they distribute, they sell, and they do all of like the show setup and stuff. So there's a central events team that we work directly with, and they handle the vast majority of conventions because most conventions, right, PAX Unplugged, Gen Con, Essen Spiel, UK Games Expo, they have a wide breadth of different studios that come to them. So Asmodee just puts those on. Adepticon's kind of unique in the fact that like it's a miniatures convention first and foremost, and that's really all that happens there. Although this year they did have some Star Wars Unlimited events that they ran, obviously, which Asmodee also oversees with our sister studio FFG. So Adepticon is strange in the fact that we as the studio take a much more direct role that show because of its specialization, and it is one that we have kind of marked out as ours. Right. Yeah. So Asmodee is they're still the ones doing the vast majority of the things. However, we have a lot more direct influence and impact on how and what is done at that show based on the fact that it's kind of just us. It's not much different than like for folks who are going to be going to the Star Wars Unlimited Worlds event in Vegas this upcoming summer. That is still an Asmodee central event show, but it's obviously heavily influenced and guided by all of the people at FFG because it is focused on their Star Wars Unlimited game. So it gets a little weird when you start talking about like who does what and who's where. Like we still work with the central events team for all of our Gen Con stuff. So we determine which demo tables are going to go. We provide, miniatures for the cases. We help them staff for doing demos and other events and things like that. But at the end of the day, most of that work is done by their team, and they coordinate with us to answer questions or do things like that.
I think that's clear. You explained that quite well. So let's switch to Europe then, which doesn't have this same tradition that the States do with lots of conventions, so weekend conventions. So, Ross, tell us a bit about what is available in Europe and what are you guys more directly supporting?
So we're going to be at UK Games Expo this year, which is great.
Woohoo!
I'm looking forward to going back. That show was so fun. What good vibes all around. So looking forward to that, which is going to be cool. We're going to be running our Asmodee UK is going to be running 3 side events. One for Marvel Course of Protocol, one for Star Wars Legion, one for Star Wars Shatterpoint. That's going to be on Friday. Mm-hmm. And then on Saturday and Sunday, we're going to have grand tournaments for each of those games as well. Mm-hmm. So those will be going on. We're going to be bringing out lots of prizes as well. So of course, there's going to be the grand tournament prizes that'll be available, and then we're going to be bringing out some extra goodies too, which is always fun.
With the UK Games Expo, then, which by the way is probably the closest we have in the UK, perhaps even in Europe, to what an American-style con is like.
I would agree.
Yeah. Would you say it's more like Will was saying the model is in all the other type of conventions apart from Adepticon in the States, right? Where it's really
100%.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
but
so that's run by the Asmodee UK team. So
yeah. But the difference is that you guys come over to it as well. So it's not just them there. You guys will be there as well. In fact, is it going to be you and Will going to be there?
We will be there.
Yeah, it'll so far it'll be the 2 of us plus our head of studio, Simone Elliott.
Oh, she's coming too. Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent.
It's a really great time to do touch bases with folks from Europe, right? Because a lot of Asmodee folks come over for that. So it's good there. We get to have a rare opportunity to interact with retailers from the area and work with a bunch of other people who come over. So it's a multi-purpose show for us.
Okay.
In addition to just being able to hang out with the UK community and anyone from Europe who happens to make the trip over for the show, and always like those. We always like to be able to hang out with folks we don't normally get to see due to an entire ocean being in the way.
So you have the side event on the Friday, and then the main kind of 2-day event on the Saturday and Sunday. I hope you've got some like really good, talented, possibly good-looking TOs to look after those events. By the way,
is that the case?
It's us too. Yeah, we're looking after those events.
Oh,
beautiful.
Good.
Mainly Jamie. He's putting in all the
camera's assistant.
No, it's good. Like I just know they're getting done. So it's sometimes it's like, oh, good.
Yeah. To be fair, the one stipulation I had was I'll TO as long as I get to play too. So you can come see me stressed and beat me at MCP. So
there you go.
That's a selling point for you.
It's a double whammy.
Yeah, there you go.
Just make sure that one of your friends is always calling for a judge when you're in the middle of your game, and that'll secure the win for you. No question.
So will Asmodee UK have a booth set up at the convention as well?
Yeah, so they'll have a booth at the show, and we'll do a full setup. So it's going to be interesting because the Hall 1 isn't actually usable this year. I guess it got booked out by something else. The rumor keeps saying Disney on Ice, but I haven't seen any ticket listings, so I don't know about that. Which, believe me, if it was, we would go. But so they've moved everything back by one hall. But yeah, so Asmodee UK is going to be doing their whole setup. So we'll have demos for the new Star Wars Legion, and we'll have demos for MCP and Shatterpoint, and then there'll be a display case and all kinds of cool things there and all that. So yeah, it'll be working through them and the larger Asmodee partners for everything else.
So will there be a product to be able to purchase there, or any promotional stuff?
So we'll have the convention exclusive. So for Star Wars Shatterpoint, we'll have the SWP 81 I Am No Jedi, which is the cool miniature piece with Vader and Ahsoka as they battle out on Malachor. So we'll have that going on, and then for exact products, I don't want to say exactly what's going to be there, but they are going to have product that's going to be available, so it'll be good.
Will's ready to say something. Look at him.
I was just going to say, I mean, asking for anything with certainty at this point is it's a bet no one's willing to put money down on. So
the good news is
planning on selling products.
Yeah. We're outside of the whole tariff situation, so it's all for, bring it all here. Maybe you could
exactly, yeah. Well, and also all sales going kind of back to how the studio Asmodee relationship works, right? The studios don't actually control any of their products because we just make the stuff for Asmodee. Asmodee makes it and produces it, right? So it'll be up to the UK team to determine what they have in stock, what they want to bring, if they want to do any kind of like pre-releases at the show. We'll advise on that, but just like with Gen Con or even Adepticon, outside of us making an exclusive for the show or for the show season, like we did with the Shatterpoint one, which was a kind of a test case to see how it would be received and if that would be a model going forward. We find out pretty much the same time you all do when we get to the show. We're like, oh, that's cool. They have this and they brought that. And they brought this one. That's really neat. I'm excited. I haven't seen that yet.
So Schick says that, but like I do a lot of the planning for the inventory thing. So it's like maybe he's surprised by it. But
nice.
So it sounds like for people going that they'll be able to get some cool stuff for playing in the tournaments, but also get cool stuff at the booth that they come visit. That so two different ways to and if people wanted to say hi to you guys, where would be the best way to do that? Would it be to meet at the booth, or are you going to be there most of the time, or what's the plan?
We'll be hanging around the booth. And then we'll be setting up like press meetings and then doing some business meetings. And then we'll be in the tournament area too. I haven't seen the exact map layout yet. So we'll see how far along the walk is. I know last year it was a small hike, not super far, but we try to keep ourselves relatively within both those areas throughout the day. We know that, so like I'm already working with like the PR team over there. So we're going to be lining up some stuff. We'll have to do some sort of follow-up interview there if you guys want to do that.
Yeah, I want to see that for sure.
Which would be cool. So yeah,
it'd be good to get your perspective on the European community. Is this going to be the only place that you're going to be in Europe in any similar capacity, or is there something else happening?
For me, this is my only trip over the ponds. Ross and Simone are at a few. They'll be at Eschenspiel for those who are there. And that might be it for this year.
So so it's fun, right? So like in a perfect world, I was like, oh man, I want to go to Disneyland Paris and I want to hop over to Aspen HQ and I want to do all these things. And Spain's got Interacio, which is their big event in March, right? Which does all of that. And it'd be really cool to go to Salute too. But for this year, we'll be at UKGE and then we'll also be at Essenspiel. Coming out for that. We got a couple trade shows that are on the bookends of those events. So we'll be out doing other Asmodee visits too to their offices and stuff like that, which is fun. So as somebody that goes to a lot of conventions, there is a difference between a consumer show and a trade show.
Yeah,
but that isn't the conversation for this one, right? But
and Essenspiel though is just going to be a booth at no tournaments. Is that right?
I'm gonna go with we're not announcing what's gonna happen yet.
I'm pretty sneaky, sis. Fair enough.
That being said, probably no tournaments on that because they don't really have a tournament area at Spiel. Yeah. But I don't want to say what we're doing yet because
there's something afoot
far away.
Okay.
So
brilliant.
That being said, if you haven't been to Essenspiel, it is so cool. It is like a festival meets board game convention.
Yeah.
So like having done the Gauntlet on US shows, my first time going to Spiel in like 2018 was like, oh, this is wild. Like people were driving their car in to set up their booth, pulling out plywood, and then just spray painting their prices with a stencil on the side of their thing, and then there's some camo netting over it and called it a day. I'm just like, what? You can't. I cannot comprehend this. And then what's also fun on the trade end is that they do booth parties afterwards, after hours.
Yeah.
And so after the hall closes, you hang out at a certain booth, and then you'll walk over to the next booth, kind of like a pub crawl. But you'll go to different booths and like visit and do
fun.
that. Which that is not a thing in the U.S. So that's very neat.
All right, gentlemen. I think that's going to wrap it up there. Jamie, do you have any further questions for the gentlemen before we let them go?
No further questions. Actually, I've got one question that I probably know the answer to, but do you reckon your time over at UK Games Expo will allow for you to play a single game of MCP with anyone?
Ooh.
Oh, my goodness. To be determined, I think. We've got a pretty full docket, but maybe we can squeeze something in.
Yeah, it's for work. It's for work. You know, community outreach.
Yeah, it's networking.
Noted. All right. Well, Ross has a gleam in his eyes, so we'll see what we can do.
Nice.
We'll see what we can do. That's there we go.
Ross, did we? Is there anything you want to mention before we let you go that we haven't covered?
Honestly, this was really fun. Like, I haven't really been on a big podcast for AMG yet. I've been coordinating a lot of the back end of stuff, so it's cool to do this. I'm glad we could talk about all the organized playlists going on. My main thing I want to, like, in the umbrella of that, if you are a tournament organizer, if you are a retailer, if you are an event, and you have questions about how can I get this for my store? What's going on? First off, hit up your regional Azure rep. And then if not, shoot us an email at op@atomicmassgames.com. That is our general catch-all for organized play stuff. We've got some folk that monitor that email. So if you have questions about your tournament, you had a thing, you want to know what's going on, how do I get support? The kind of stuff there, that's a great place to reach out to. If you've got rules questions and things like that, go to our rules forums, go on there. And then, of course, stay tuned as we have cool updates for all the cool organized play stuff and all of that. And then go play in stores. We're making these kits. We want to see them get used. We want to do all these cool things. The more that we know they're getting used, the more we can make them. I've got a marketing budget. I want to spend it on cool stuff. But if we're not using the stuff, then we don't want to make it. So, get those promo cards out there and, tag us on these things. And the more that you do that, the more that we know they're awesome. So.
Yeah, and to add to that, if nothing's happening at your store and so you're like, oh, boo-hoo, I can't do any of that, you can. That's right. I'm talking to you. You can actually go ahead and tell your friends to meet at the store and get a kit and make it happen. Just make it happen. It's very simple. You just have to actually decide to do it.
True enough.
Preach.
All right, gentlemen, thank you again so much. I hope everybody has a much better understanding of frankly, a really hyped up version of organized play than we've seen from you guys so far. So it's an exciting year ahead, and it's all been mapped out for us now over the last hour or so. So thanks very much. I think everybody will appreciate that going forward.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us. We appreciate the chance to come on and chat.
All right, wonderful. All right, Jamie, shall we close it?
Yes, I forgot the catchphrase. You do it.
Oh, you caught me off guard. Until next time, cheers and happy gaming.
Said with your chest and confidence. Good job. Well done.